Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Bean Turtle as always, and today I've got for y'all the T-26E1-1. I'm going to do a guide on how to use it at the BR of 6.7, or as I will probably tell you later, actually more like 7.0, because right now the matchmaker is kind of screwy about 6.7, which is really weird, but we'll get into that in a little bit. This is a really good US rank 4 tank called the Super Pershing is another thing, and that's how I'm going to refer to it throughout this game. It is a heavy tank with a 90mm cannon that fires pretty solid rounds in terms of penetration. You can take out Tiger 2s with this very easily from the front. I mean, of course, at longer range, it's a little harder to hit the turret weak spot, but that kind of thing. You can take out T-44s with no issue whatsoever. You can take out things even like IS-3s. It's just a little bit more difficult to kill those things, but the 90 is really good, especially after they buffed it. Originally, they were pretty terrible. I don't know why they released them so badly, but a couple of years ago, the 90mm were really bad, and they buffed the damage to be more realistic, and now they are useful. It has extra armor in comparison to the other T-26s. You can tell by this extra add-on plate here and these little wings. These little wings actually do kind of provide some extra damage, extra protection against like heat rounds. But that's kind of rare to see that kind of thing at 6.7. Let's get into, first of all, the kinds of things you will be facing. So first of all, no surprise, at 6.7 you will be seeing a lot of Tiger 2s, and occasionally actually Tiger 1s, because people will just up tier these things. But mostly you'll see Tiger 2Hs and Tiger 2Ps, which is the rounded one, the P is the rounded one, and the H is the flat turret one. To take out both of these easily, you can actually shoot the machine gun port, though it is less consistent in dealing damage there, or you can just shoot the turret face. So let me get this up real quick. T-41 shot is the one I recommend you use the most. It's it's the APHE round. Put that right there through the turret cheek, and kaboom. Most of the crew will die. Usually it'll just one-shot the tank. I don't know why it didn't show it doing that there. If I do it again, I'm sure it'll actually work, and it'll usually blow up a round in the turret carousel. But this time it seemingly didn't in protection. Every time I shoot with the T-26, every time I shoot a Tiger here, it dies instantly. So I don't know why that's being weird. You can also put a round right through here, through the machine gun port, where it'll do less damage, but it will kill the gunner, and usually it'll kill the driver, but this time it didn't. Again, protection analysis is a little weird. And you're also usually firing at closer ranges than about 500 meters, which I leave it at that so that you can see what you're doing. But say you even see the target at a further distance, like 800 meters, you can still pen this right here and take out most of the turret crew, do some damage, possibly even blow up a round. So that's pretty easy to deal with Tigers. Also, if you see a Tiger from the side, of course, you can just shoot it here and it explodes. But the surefire, consistent way to insta-kill a Tiger is to shoot the ready round ammunition right here, which is in the back of the turret. This is an every tank thing. So every tank that sees a Tiger 2, you shoot it right here and it explodes instantly, because that's where there will always be ammo in this part of the turret, if that makes sense. Whereas the ammo down here is not always there. So the same thing for the Tiger 2P. Is just it's rounded, so it's a little bit different, but it's the same thing in that there it did actually show insta killing the turret. So you just shoot at any part of the turret here. If you're at a slight angle, you can actually hit the top of it, which makes this one a little bit easier to take out. That's a really frustrating way to get killed. And then, of course, you've got the machine gun port here that, depending on how you hit, will either not work or it will work. It really depends on where you hit the machine gun. It's kind of RNG because of how Gaijin does rounds. Like, see, you insta kill it there, but then suddenly the machine gun port is made of like adamantium, or the machine gun itself is made of adamantium to a 90mm tank round. So it's really inconsistent, but if you just shoot it here, it explodes. Next thing that you will see a good bit, or I mean, they're usually a little bit rarer than Tigers, but people still pull these all the time, and I do as well, is the Jag Tiger. So if you look at this way, it's really kind of hard to pen from the front in any way. I don't believe that at all, and you shouldn't either. This is not a weak spot, protection analysis is lying to you. The only real weak spot from the front is this right here, which will kind of deal damage to it, and it'll destroy a lot of the tanks. So like that'll disable it. If you can get it around through the machine gun port, that disables the tank for sure. You know, driver, gunner, loader, commander, I think, right? That kind of thing. Of course, always you can just go and shoot the you just shoot the barrel and track barrel, and then go around the side, which from the side is also pretty thick. But if you get around to pretty much any angle from the side, you can put around the side of it and kaboom, right? And that'll take out the crew. So these are kind of threatening, but not as bad as some other things you will see later on. And as a reminder, if you see like any light tanks whatsoever, like this thing, just shoot it and it explodes horribly. So don't worry about that. Tiger 1s, oddly enough, let's get a better one so that we can actually see the armor on the Tiger 1 instead of all the cool camo net stuff. Tiger 1s, if whether they're angled or not, pretty much it doesn't really matter. You can still kill it from the front. However, just remember that you have to hit the flat part of the armor. So you have to hit the blocky area up here. If you hit the transmission, you will only hit the transmission, if that makes sense. So you have to hit this area. I would not aim for this either, because sometimes this stupid stuff like this will happen, where the round just kind of stops. And so that's just another Gaijin-ism. So just aim for the sides of the tank. And just shoot for right there, and you'll take it out instantly. That's just something you'll see a lot as people using Tiger 1s up tier. Next thing you'll see at your BR is the IS-2s or the IS-1 equivalents. This is a Object 248, but it's essentially just an IS-1 with an 100mm cannon. This is an IS-2, right? So also at 6.7, same thing. The IS-2 you'll see much more commonly. If you just look at the protection map, you can put around through the lower front plate, which is the weak spot for most Eastern vehicles, and that'll insta-kill it. You can put around up here, but that's a little bit too difficult for what you need to do, and that should wipe the turret crew. But it's easier, in my opinion, and what I do usually is just put around right here in the turret, and what the frick? That never happens in a normal game. Just put around through this part of the turret, and that should insta-kill most or all of the crew. Usually it's always all of the crew. I don't know why protection analysis is so weird. Put around through the turret cheek on the IS series tanks, and then also through the turret cheek on the T-3485s. You'll see a lot of these as well. T-3485s have the same exact weak spots, but with the 90mm you can also pen the front plate. I just usually forget about that and go through the turret anyway. That's just what I'm used to do. But if you have a really long distance shot ahead of you, so maybe let's see, like a kilometer, can you pen that still? Yeah. So if you're firing from like a kilometer at a T-34, you can just put it through the front plate as well. Pretty thin armor, honestly, but that is what you get for a full up tier tank. T-44 as a 7.0, but you will see this pretty often. T-44, consistently shoot it through the turret, just like the IS series tanks, and that should one-shot it. You see it hit the ammo back there, and that's usually what happens. Usually you're not shooting from 1,000 meters. Let's see what it's like at closer range. Yeah, same thing. Though it says the lower front plate penetration is possible. That's weird. I didn't know that. So if you put it down to like 400 meters, is it going to be... Why does that not show up? That's so weird. I don't know why it's doing that. But yeah, so you lower front plate, but I would just say don't worry about that. Just go for the turret. It's easier. And they have to look at you to shoot you, so if they're looking at you, take advantage of that. And then some of the other things that you will see, actually, are like French things. Specifically the AMX M4, you'll see quite a few of these for some weird reason. And the answer to how to kill these is shoot it, literally. So just literally shoot it anywhere. If you want the easy insta-kill, I guess it probably will easily insta-kill if you shoot it in the center. But the easy insta-kill, in my opinion, is always just hitting the turret on these tanks. because that usually just wipes the crew anyway. These things are made of paper. Don't be afraid of them just because you don't necessarily see them all the time. And then another thing that you will see is M26s. Sometimes there is an Italian one, there is a French one, and also if you, in the very rare case that you will get against an American team, because that's possible. Sometimes the matchmaker breaks. I put in quotes, and puts every faction against every faction. That is possible. Just shoot it. It's like don't worry about it too much. The M26 is not that well armored, which is why I'm surprised it's as high BR as it is. But just shoot it and it will die. Now, some of the scarier things that you are capable of seeing at 7.7 from the front on is this thing, for instance, the Object 268. This thing is made of absolute stellinium, and sometimes probably even this spot that I'm going to show you is not going to work. However, there is a weak spot right here, and so from a certain 500 meters away, which is general engagement distance, or even like a kilometer away, you can actually still pen this space right here on the front of the gun. And good news for you, this thing has to look at you to shoot at you, so you will always have that spot active and available for you to hit. It's just really small. Like, you're talking about shooting, a 1 or 2 foot tall area from a kilometer away, or whatever distance. However, if you hit it, you will kill the tank. Otherwise, you hit any other part of the tank that you'd think about, like even the cupola, which, again, protection analysis is not always telling the truth here. You hit the cupola here, and the round might kill the commander, but it'll likely just go straight through, right? Just like that, wait, and do absolutely no damage to the tank at all. And I would never try for this. I don't even know why this is even highlighted. Sort of like, whatever. I don't know why that's even highlighted, but seemingly it'll pen. I just don't believe it. Go for this little spot here. Otherwise, this thing is literally invincible from the front. You have to shoot it from a different angle, on the side or something if you can't get there. And then another thing that you will see, of course, you will see IS-3s. You will see IS-3s a lot. IS-3s, the easiest place usually is to shoot it right here, but this doesn't work on this tank. Likely from the front there is nowhere to hit except maybe right here. If you get lucky with the game deciding to give you a hit, that'll do some damage. Again, don't trust it. That's not even a real weak spot. You won't get that in game. If you shoot just the barrel, and you're probably going to have to track the tank, hit the barrel, etc., go around. But if we look at it from point blank range, same thing, right? Again, maybe you could shoot this right here, and maybe you'll get lucky. I don't believe it. The IS-3 is effectively immortal from the front, which is kind of lame. I mean, even if you compare it to the slightly larger gun of the T-29 with the T-13 shell, which is what I use all the time, you can only barely get around through this. In fact, that probably shouldn't pen, to be honest. And so even with like the bigger gun of the T-29, like you have a hard time taking this thing out. So that's just a general issue with the IS-3. So you have to go through that. Also with the IS-3, the turret is really, really hard to kill. So yeah, this is not. See, this is wrong. This is actually wrong. Like, for whatever reason, the protection map isn't telling the truth here. You can't pen this at all. So none of this is pennable. So let's get rid of the protection map real quick. You actually can't pen any of this. Don't even try. The T-29 will also blank on this, which is really weird. I don't know how this is modeled or why this is like this, but you just can't pen that. Whereas also the hull is really, really thick. So the way to kill the IS-3 is to shoot it underneath the track. You have to go under the track, and then you can one-shot the thing down here. If you try to shoot any of this, the answer will likely be non-pen. He will turn in and kill you. And oddly enough, also, the back of the turret is also made of absolute stellinium, right? I know it says you can pen this here, penetration possible, 300 millimeters? I don't know, man. Maybe? Okay, I don't know. I wouldn't try that in a real game because there are so many times with other tanks that I've shot this part of an IS-3, and the game is just like, huh? So just don't do that. Don't waste your time. Do that. Take out the engine because you can pen that. Take out the engine, transmission, etc. Light them on fire, freak them out. Um, there you go. IS-3 is kind of weird in terms of how it's modeled. Like, look at all this. That's goofy, you know? And then the absolute worst case scenario, which you will consistently get up tiers because there are no down tiers, you will see one of these, an IS-4M. I'm pretty sure the only solution for you to taking out an IS-4M is to shoot it in the back. Pretty sure that's it. Yeah, the game is, again, protection analysis is lying that maybe you'll get a hit if you, like, put the round here. Or maybe you can get a really lucky ricochet shot off of, like, the barrel or something. And the round will bounce down into the gun or into the tank or something. But, like, that's not realistic. There's really nowhere you can put a round here that it'll kill anything on the front. So what you're going to have to do is come around the side. Again, made of absolute stellinium. But if you also come around the side, you have the same issue with the IS-3, right? So none of the turret can be penned. None of this part of the thing can be consistently penned. Again, don't trust that. See that 500 millimeters there? All of this is not pennable, right? So you have to shoot below into the hull, below the track, and then you can actually take it out. The fact that this can pen the T-26, or I mean match the T-26 at all is insane to me. But it can, so this is one of the things that you're going to have to know how to deal with. And it's one of the beefiest tanks in the game, actually, for BR. So, and then an honorable mention, you have the T-54. Again, same thing. The turret, once again, put the round through the turret thing. This is the 7.7 T-54, so you might see some of these. But again, put it through the turret mantlet, and kaboom! Everyone is unhealthy in the inside, and that's what you are looking for. Another goofy thing you might see, this is a tortoise. This is the British turtle, a British tootle, and you might see this once or twice in a blue moon. The place to hit this thing to take it out, apparently you can put a round through this machine gun inconsistently. I wouldn't do that in a real game. But where you actually hit it to deal a lot of damage, you put around the cupola here, and that'll take out a huge amount of the crew, and that'll disable it for you to come around the side and either, well, hit it again until it explodes. So I'm pretty sure the gunner is over here somewhere, or you just come around to the side and shoot it somewhere like that. But from the front, largely this thing is immortal. Again, that just says transmission. You're likely not going to kill anything. This is probably a lie. No, and maybe, I don't know, maybe that's flat enough for you to deal damage. Like a weak spot in the armor, I guess. But likely that's not going to work. This corner up here, maybe, I guess. I didn't know about that. I'm learning live time here. Yeah, okay, well, that corner is pretty nice. So maybe you can hit that as well. But for the most part, hit this. It's the easiest, in my opinion, to hit. Is hitting the cupola from a good distance, and that should one-shot it. But if you're from the side on any angle, you can just, you should be able to really. It's that thick. I don't believe that. Really? Maybe you can't. Okay, well, I was wrong. These are scary then. Alright, and now let's look at armor for this tank. So the T-26E1-1 has a little bit of more armor over the normal T-26. It has multiple plates here, as you can see, of structural steel and such. On the whole, and so it's a normal T-26 but with like much more built onto it and these little wings here. But there are some pretty serious flaws to the armor on this tank, specifically no armor on the horizontal gun drive. Yes, this right here is the horizontal, or vertical, I mean aiming drive. Horizontal, I guess, is this, but this is the vertical cannon drive. And a person can just machine gun this from the front. I'm actually not kidding. If you take the AP rounds from the 50 cals, well, there you go. It'll it doesn't show it in protection analysis because there are not like 100,000 rounds flying at it, but this will eventually get destroyed in normal gameplay. So a good player that knows that this is a T-26E1 will take out the horizontal or the vertical cannon drive, making it a little bit harder to aim. By a little bit, I mean sometimes impossible, depending on where your gun is. So keep an eye out for that. You may need to drive away for a second if that happens. And then also there are some holes in the armor. I put in quotes holes in the armor. If we look at the Tiger II, which is again one of the most common tank you will see, firing the most common round, which is the PZGR 3943. You can see that there are some pretty big holes in the armor for you. A lot of this is a lie, so I'm going to actually close this and bring this open. The Tiger II can pen pretty much a good portion of the lower front plate, but that's not consistent, right? So just know that that's a weak spot for you, is the lower front plate, as is the case with most tanks, honestly. The machine gun port is a huge weak spot. You will die if you get shot here. If you're looking straight onto the thing, a Tiger can shoot right here, which is just the normal turret, and it didn't do it for some weird reason. I've been killed here numerous times, so don't lie to me. All right. So yeah, you put the round right there, and a Tiger II can take you out. And the same on the other side of the tank. You can also get hit from up here. Again, same thing. That's right in the ready rack ammo, so that'll one-shot you. And then also over here, we'll take out most of the crew as well. So there are some holes in the armor on this thing that you will notice eventually. As a bit of an added bonus on this thing, tanks that are like the 155mm tanks, like the M109 or the M44, may not have as easy of a time killing you in one shot, at least, as they would other things. So, like these wings, for instance, can kind of block off the cupola. Which this tank seems kind of weird according to protection analysis. This isn't one-shotting it, which I think it would in game, so remember that. Keep that in mind, that the protection analysis kind of lies. Also, I don't think this would happen in game either, whereas it'll say it'll one-shot you, but in game I don't think that would happen per se. And like over here, for instance, again, I think you would live that. So that's kind of weird. But on the right side, it seems like you're immortal to HE, whereas over here, it seems like everything kills you. It's very, very strange, but that likely will not happen. They can, of course, just hit the machine gun. That's the case on most tanks anyway. But this extra little add-on armor kind of helps there. And maybe some of the other shots that might kill you normally won't, right? Like down here, for instance. So that's an added bonus that this tank has over others. Also, the 50 cal is pretty good. It's nothing like the T29 50 cals or the T34, like this thing, T34 50 cals. If you've used those are crazy, but it will take out tracks pretty quickly. That's good. Also, reverse speed, according to the game, is 13 kilometers an hour, but it gets to that pretty quickly. So this thing actually feels like it has a pretty good reverse speed in comparison. So it doesn't have T80 tank syndrome where it just can't move backwards because they forgot that driving backwards is important. This thing's a little bit less like that. You feel a little bit more zoomy. However, this thing does not have neutral steering, which is really weird. You cannot neutral steer this tank. All right, and so other tanks like the T29, as I keep talking about, the T34 has neutral steering. A few others of this stuff have neutral steering, which neutral steering means the tank will kind of rotate in place, if that makes sense. This tank doesn't do that, or the T-26E1 does not do that, which is very weird. But otherwise, also, it's pretty quick, actually. I was keeping up with M41s, for instance, in some situations, because this tank is actually pretty quick, at least to getting to that max speed. Of course, an M41 will outrun you like crazy, but if you're just trying to drive up to the front line, it'll get there pretty quickly. It's pretty quick. Overall, I actually like this tank way more than all of the other T26s, to be brutally honest. This one I don't like as much, but I've still spaded it. The The M26, the Pershing. I also like the T-26 more, even though this is a medium tank. This is a heavy tank, but this was just more fun to play because you're more survivable. A lot of times, people who like tigers and stuff will drive up to you and be like, "Huh," and then just not know what to do to you because you look scary. So a lot of like, not to overly hate on German mains, but a lot of German mains will be like, "What is that?" And not know what to do. Personally, I was one of them at one point, so like, I'm not gonna act like I'm superior in that way or something. But and some lineups and information about BR placement. So, as you can see in this lineup here, this is a 7.0 lineup, and in fact, my little things here, I have all these like lineups set up by BR, and this one is 7.0. It sits in my 7.0 lineup. Why is that? So here's the weird thing: 6.7 does not exist. There is no 6.7 anymore. 6.7, even for Germany, is not a thing. Okay, there is no 6.7. There is only 7.4, 7.3, and 7.7. There is no 6.7. You will never see an on BR game, which is so weird. Like, just right now, I bet this will change in the future. But right now, because of the existence of the Panzerhaubitzer 2000, people like playing the mouse, and so they love this combination of the mouse and the Panzerhaubitzer. People love playing the 7.7 Russian lineup, 7.7 Soviet Union lineup, and the IS-3. So there are always people pulling you up to 7.7. You will never see a 6-7 tier. In fact, every other game, or almost every game, is either a full up tier or a partial up tier. So what I've discovered, oddly enough, is that if you play at 7.0 with the Pershing, you will get more down tiers, and you will get on tiers at 7.0 or 7.3, right? So like 7.3 for 7.0 lineup is not that bad. Remember I told you that the T-29 can pen that spot on the IS-3? Well, um, that's because I see IS-3s all the time, right? And the T-26 is also pretty okay in that lineup anyway, because that's what you're used to. But this also gives you the odd thing of getting 6.0 down tiers consistently. You'll get often 6.0 down tiers where you're fighting like Shermans and stuff, because there aren't any 6.0s, right? There's this thing for the US 6.0, and some people do use it. But for Germany, 6.0 down tiers means you're fighting all Tigers, right? All Tigers, all the Panthers. You'll see a lot of Panthers. And then the up tiers of that group will be the Tiger 2s, right? And then 6.0 for the Soviet Union. There isn't really one, but you will see, let's see, there's the SU-100 here, but mostly people will be playing IS-2s. So you will see a lot of IS-2s and stuff, right? So mostly you'll see down tiers and 7.3 quote up tiers if you play at 7.0. So that's what I recommend right now. I don't know, maybe the matchmaker will change in the future. But with that, at 7.0 with the T-26, this thing handles just fine. You can use the T-92, sorry. You use the T-92 light tank, which is pretty fun. With it, you can use the M41 and a quote up tier, but it gets Sabo rounds, so it does just fine. You can use the T-34, but that's at 6.7, with the 120 millimeter cannon, which is really fun. All of these tank destroyers, the Tootle, the T-95, and a bunch of premiums. All right, if you have any of them, which I have, the T-29 is one of my favorite vehicles in the game. And so, also for planes, there isn't really a 6.7 non-premium strike aircraft, so you can use a lot of the 82s, 84s, all of these things. These are really good strike craft. Or you can use the F3D, which is my favorite strike plane for this BR. It's pretty simple: 20 millimeter cannons and two 2,000-pound bombs, or two Tiny Tim rockets. Your choice. They're both really good. Really, really fun plane. And then also, of course, you can up tier the F82, but I like the F3 because it's fast. And so, really solid lineup at 7.0 that you can run with the T-26. And that actually, oddly enough, makes your life better, because if you're not constantly seeing, IS-3s and IS-4Ms from the Soviets, like, see, if you're not constantly seeing this, which you cannot pen from the front at all, or this, which you also really can't pen from the front at all, It's a little bit more fun, is it not? Right? So just kind of game the system to your advantage. Find the BR manipulation that you like, and there you go. If you're worried about seeing full 8.0 up tiers, I usually don't, but if you do, I mean, you're facing what, leopards. Mouses of course are scary, but there's really nothing you can do about that. But you're facing like a leopard one, oh no, you just shoot it literally anywhere and it explodes. um, 8.0 Soviet Union is a lot of light tanks, and they will be using usually the light tanks or the T-54, but usually it's light tanks, like the BMP and the Object 906 that people will be using. Various artillery vehicles is what people usually bring to those BRs. And also, as I said, like it's very rare to have full 7.0 up tiers. That just almost never happens because all of those guys, the poor people who play 8.0, always get sucked up to 8.3 minimum because of the XM800, or they get pulled all the way up to 9.0, right? Because of this whole BR bracket between 8.3 and like 9.7 is just a black hole of pain. So like, just to be super optimistic about it, so just remember that that's probably not going to happen. But yeah, there you go. I hope this is useful. I hope this helps you take things out, and I hope that you have enjoyed the little gameplay I have put in here throughout. I'm trying to make my videos a little bit more interesting per se, and sorry for the long delay on making this one as well as the other ones. This is going to be a series, is like how to do how to T-26, how to T-92, how to whatever, right? If it was, please be sure to like and subscribe. I am always here, and if you really like my work and you want me to continue more, please become a member. You can do that, or you can join my Discord if you want to do that, or like play PlanetSide or something with me in the future. We will have plenty of slots open as an infinite if y'all want to join, and it'd be good to see y'all. So thanks for watching, and have a great day.